In this episode of Amor al Migrante podcast, we welcome Valentin, a fourth-generation mariachi and professor, to talk about the history of mariachi in El Paso and the importance of keeping this tradition alive for the next generation.
Embracing that joy and embracing that culture and embracing the music, that is a form of resistance.
Absolutely.
It is amazing to see that we hope continues.
Yeah,
right?
You're seen as the underdog, the person who can't afford the things, So when I see these kids, it's like, dude, focus and you're going to achieve everything. And specifically with our music.
Happy time when you see a mariachi and a folklorico playing, and it's something that not every country gets to enjoy.
Right.
Definitely.
Welcome to another episode of Amor al Migrante. We're super excited about today's conversation. It's something that's super important to our community, to our culture. We have a special guest here to talk about it, Valentin Gonzalez. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
For those of our viewers who may be familiar with you, that means we're talking mariachi.
Yes, we sure are. Mariachi is the topic today, and Valentin, you and your family, are part of the mariachi legacy here in our city. So we're gonna go ahead and talk about it. We're gonna take advantage of that, and we're also going to talk about the reason for the podcast. One of the reasons, which is our Madres and Mariachis event that is happening on May 9th, right? Shameless plug. So we're gonna go ahead and talking about our event too, how the mariachi connects to the community, connects to the event, and how has the mariachi become a special tradition not only in our city but across the world, right? So I guess, Valentin, we can dive in right into the questions. So first, of course, can you tell us a little bit about yourself, about the mariachi, how it became such an influential part in your family, in you, and in your career overall?
Okay, so first of all, my name is Valentin Gonzalez, and I am a fourth-generation mariachi.
Nice. So you have that whole background.
Definitely, I do. My family comes from Mexico, from my father's side.
Mm-hmm.
They come from San Luis Potosí,
Nice.
where my dad's from.
Beautiful place.
So my dad did migrate into the United States in the 80s, late 80s.
Okay.
And when my father migrated over here, he started his solo career. He had just launched an album with Mariachi Vargas de Tecalitlán.
Oh.
And so he came over here, and during that little era, he started performing with Viva El Paso.
Oh, nice.
Love Viva El Paso.
Yeah, so during that little time of his life, he was doing shows for Viva El Paso, where my mother was participating as a folklorico dancer.
Oh,
Okay.
this is like a movie.
So if we look at your DNA, so you're like gonna see like a line of mariachi music and then like a line of dancing.
Yes.
Nice. That's
So
something.
my father met my mother there, and in 87 they had my brother.
Nice.
They got married and had my brother. My father then brought all of his family from Mexico.
Perfect.
And with the years, they ended up all joining a mariachi here, very popular mariachi Real de Jalisco.
Yes.
Yes.
So at one point, it was about 6 Gonzalez's in that mariachi.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, so
So it was like more like a family mariachi than
Correct.
anything else.
yeah, so my dad's been participating in all the local mariachis here. That was his livelihood for about 30 years.
Wow.
In 2001, my mom asked him to leave the nightlife.
No.
So my father started Mariachi Los Toritos
Okay.
in 2001, and that's where he had all of us, all his kids and kids from my soccer team and people we knew, and he formed an academy.
Oh, nice.
for Mariachi Los Toritos.
Nice. So it wasn't until your mom decided, hey, you know what? No more nightlife. We need to focus on something
Correct.
else.
Family life.
And my mom went
kiddos.
out and printed out posters. She put them on out of the Food City at the Walmart, and she started recruiting kids for my dad, and he became a teacher.
Nice.
Oh, it's
So
very
she went
cool.
from mom to marketing specialist
to secretary.
to recruitment officer too.
Correct.
Talk about a family business, right?
So it wasn't just family, kids, your siblings. It was like all the kids. Like everybody's gonna learn
Everybody was in there.
mariachi. And I imagine there was a lot of interest, though.
Oh,
then, right?
definitely. And at one point, my dad had 3 vans because there was so many of us performing at all the gigs.
Oh my god.
So different parents driving, and as of now, I think I hang out with like 15 of them that grew up with me since 2001.
Oh
that
my
are still
gosh,
my friends.
that's so cool. That's so
And
cool.
from those original Toritos, at least 5 of them are teachers right now. Teaching mariachi.
Really?
Yeah, so it's very interesting where we ended up.
Super legacy. Look at that. We're taking
Absolutely.
generational impacts.
I
here.
know. Like talk about like planting a seed, and then you see all those trees growing
Oh,
up, and all
definitely.
became like teachers, or like how the mariachi roots got into them,
Oh,
and now
yes.
that, like they're branching out to other people in the community. That's so crazy. So mariachi is like music style, I guess, a genre, you know, that brings a lot of like emotions, right? It could be like super sad, yeah, you know, like me dejó mi novia, like crying, but it could be also something like let's celebrate, let's bring in a mariachi, someone's birthday, like it's like we need music to live it up. So tell us about how like I guess that feeling of music brings like that emotion to other people and how you feel that when you play, you see that reaction and like from people like seeing.
I think it's more of you taking out a memory that they had within them. So usually we plant that memory in our brain that correlates with either the music that was happening at the same time of that occasion. So in many occasions, our ancestors, our grandmas, and everybody were celebrating with a certain music. And 50 years ago, that music was mariachi, you know?
Man.
So my grandma, a lot of them, you know, they like the rock and roll and all that stuff, but the music that was there in our culture was mariachi.
Yeah.
And I'm very, very thankful that I was taught mariachi, you know?
Yeah.
That was the musical choice for me. So when I get to these parties, you know, I can relate with these elderly because that's a musical choice for me. But a lot of people say, that's old music, that's boring. And now that I'm a teacher, I teach these kids this music, and they're like, dude, this is like the reggaeton your grandma was dancing years ago.
This is it.
So it's like the perreo, but it's almost like the reggaeton.
You know, they don't understand. So sometimes when I'm going to teach them Cielito Lindo, they're like, why are we learning that? You know, can you teach us some Peso Pluma? It's like, dude, this is the real stuff, though.
You have to learn the original, like, you know, crawl before you walk.
Exactly.
So when I go to a celebration for the mothers, you play these Mother's Day songs, and they're crying, man.
Oh yeah.
You hit them right where it hurts, you know?
Yes, like the.
Yeah, that's one of the things that, how would you, that when we were planning this podcast, because this is around our Mother's Day event, that we're like, how do we talk about this mariachi? Because we started planning, this is our second annual Madres y Mariachis event. So we started it last year, and it was an instant of like, Mother's Day mariachis, right? Like they just seem to go like hand in hand, right? So, I mean, what do you think is behind that tradition?
You know, it's crazy because I haven't celebrated that festivity how it's supposed to be because being a mariachi,
You're working.
Like
You're
one
on
of
the
the
other side,
busiest
right?
days, like Christmas for Santa Claus, right?
correct. So the one that actually runs the whole business was my mother. So my mom was like, we wanted to buy her a gift, and she doesn't get her gift on Mother's Day. She got it 3 days later. You know why? Because she's running around telling us, hey, you need to run to this gig in 15 minutes, and then hey, this one got moved to 2 hours. I got another one. Go to Canutillo, come back. So we never got to celebrate a legit Mother's Day celebration. You know. So if you ask me, do you guys play for your mom? No, we don't. You know what I mean?
It's crazy.
So we celebrate 1,000 moms, but not ours.
It could be 1,001, but that one is yours, which is not being celebrated. That's
And then plus, you prepare yourself. You know, we have to have those. Like I can tell you, there's about 50 to 100 songs in your pocket. You know, just in case this random lady decides to
ask for that one
that one song you haven't practiced.
No, man, never fails, huh? Never fails. Yes. So now, you being a professor, and of course, like, because a lot of mariachis, they're musicians, they play music, and that's it, right? They don't go above that line. For you, why do you think it's important to teach younger generations? You were telling us because, like, you know, they ask for Peso Pluma, but like, what is in you that led you to that path of teaching mariachi to other kids and younger generations? I mean, your dad passed it on to you, but why you think it's important to pass it on to other kids?
I think it's more of a giving them an importance and a role in life. And I say that because for many years, me as a musician and as a Mexican, you're looked down on, you know? Don't do that because you're never going to make the money, you know? And growing up, I was the son of a mariachi, you know? So at the end of the day, it was like, you're seen as the underdog, the person who can't afford the things, you know? So when I see these kids, it's like, dude, focus and you're going to achieve everything. And specifically with our music, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And a lot of these kids look up to me now and they see me, the lifestyle that I live in at time. This is all based on the commitment of learning the music, you know?
Right.
Not cutting corners, you know? You have to. My dad was really hard on me and my mom, you know? Yeah. So even though we had the ability to join the business of mariachi, they didn't allow us to cut any corners because right now you can see all these mariachis forming with all these high schools exploiting mariachi. You see all these little groups forming that only know how to play 10 or 15 songs, you know, and
Yeah.
then they don't really learn what I was taught, which my father didn't let us go out until you learn the song correctly, you know. And don't learn Mariachi Loco now, dude. That's a joke, dude. You don't play that, you
It's
know.
my favorite song by the way.
And now you see
Never
my
mind, I'll
dad.
come up with a new
I
one.
mean, you can hear, but you don't play it.
And my dad now he says like, hey, if the people ask for Mariachi Loco, you gotta play it. To me, it's like, no, dude, why are we playing this, dude? This is
Sorry.
1,000 better songs.
There are.
Right.
So it's something. It has become a goal of mine to show them that even with what the racism that there is,
Yeah.
we can still make something with what we're taught. And to me, it was taught. I make money from music,
Yeah.
from Mexican music.
And being a musician is a difficult
yeah.
career. It's
Definitely.
a difficult profession to
competitive.
monetize that. Yeah, it's super
Definitely.
competitive in a place like this. But I think that that's something that's super telling. I was having this conversation with Christian earlier today about the Coachella set with Karol G, and she brings out this.
Reina de Los Angeles.
Yes, and it's like an all-female mariachi, and to have it on this worldwide stage, really, and to have people embrace it and love it. That was such a symbolic moment. It was such a big moment that I think was really meaningful to a lot of people for that reason, because it's like, hey, we have recognized the beauty in this music our entire lives. Like,
Yeah.
we've grown up around it. We've listened to it. We love it. We feel it when we hear it. When you're like, oh no.
Échale a otra, échale a otra. Yeah.
And you gotta understand that there's this fine line of what a mariachi really is.
Yeah.
Right.
And if you see a mariachi in Mexico versus the mariachi in the United States, it's a totally different thing. And we live that because when I worked at the specific school that I worked, that was 100% Mexicans, you see it a lot where you're nothing to them, because to them the mariachi is the person walking asking for work on the street.
Oh, I see.
So to them, there's no respect, because
For a
even,
mariachi.
even in Mexico, for in the education world, you're not valued because you're just
Someone playing a guitar
Yeah.
at
you're
some
a
point.
street vendor. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And here in the United States, the majority of mariachi players right now that you're gonna see here in El Paso, they're all professionals now, and we still have our salary, and we still go on a Saturday and Sunday to celebrate, to play our music, and we get another paycheck. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So now we're living a different lifestyle because we got prepared to do this, and it's something beautiful that I tell the kids: learn. You're already coming to my classroom. Take advantage of it. Learn. When you go to college, you can get another job.
Yeah.
You know, on the
That
side.
Extra side hustle.
extra-
Yeah.
You're gonna enjoy it. You're gonna.
In this
you're gonna
economy,
enjoy
everyone needs a side
it.
hustle.
It's no one, two or three puzzles. Just yes, very, very needed.
I agree.
I think just music in general, though, is about discipline. A big portion
Oh,
of it is discipline,
definitely.
right? The way that people talk about athletes and playing sports, right? I think that the same applies to music. Is you have to really, really be disciplined. And the way that you talk about learning it, and your dad said you're going to learn it, and you're going to learn it well before you go out there and
Yeah.
and put your name on it.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And I think it goes back, like you were mentioning, like I guess, because my dad was really, not like super really tough on me, but he was really strict. Because I guess like they wanted to have that foundation, because they knew later in life,
Yeah.
everything was going to be about discipline and being responsible.
Right.
And I think that's something that has to be still one of the core values of our families. Having our kids or like kids or future generation, having that foundation and learning that you need to put full effort, full commitment to
Yeah.
something. Like you said, like you're not gonna go ahead and get a kid and teach them 15 songs and that's all they know, because later in life they're gonna get bored and that's it. Like if they want to progress, they're gonna have a hard time because they didn't have that good foundation in the background. And I think something that we have to like put into our kids
Yeah.
nowadays still. And once again, like I guess like your profession plays a huge factor in that, because like for me, like I'm a photographer, right? Or I do video photos. So for me, mariachi is like I hear the music and I love it and that's it, right? But like now that I talk to you, that's a deeper meaning behind
Yeah,
it.
for sure.
And I get to understand like, okay, it's not just like people playing, it's professionals playing.
Yeah.
It's a way of living. You know, it's something that has to be taught before someone goes into a stage. And I think it's super important to bring that awareness for people like, hey, you know what? Like a mariachi, respect it. You know, like
Absolutely.
it's something to be respected because it's a profession.
And now, you know, colleagues of mine that I'm teaching with now, they're your daily mariachi guy you see at a restaurant, and on the weekend he's in the symphony.
That's
You know, so it's
incredible.
these crazy musicians that not only can play mariachi, but now they're committed 100% to an instrument
Well-rounded
Yeah.
and
musicians.
can play whatever you ask them to play.
That's amazing. I know I have a friend who talks about how he wishes that he's a musician now, and he talks about when he was younger, he wishes that there was more of an example of people saying there's so much that you can do with music that now people see. There's so much that you can do with the musical
Definitely.
background that maybe a couple decades ago wasn't as common, right? Or wasn't as prominent to be like, hey, turn music into a career.
Career.
Like when I started playing music, I was in second grade.
Okay.
And my dad took a trip to Mexico, and on his way back, he brought me an instrument. I remember really well. I was a guitarron. And I started learning how to play. And my father's way of drowning me in the music and getting me out there was taking me to the bar where he was playing with his friends.
You love that.
You know, he was at a performance. And he
Yeah.
said, this is the stage.
No concert.
It wasn't like your little restaurant here right now that you can go and it's a family. No. Mariachis in the 90s, it was like a bar, you know, aceitunas, you know. So we were there. Yeah, my dad would take us to Frankie's restaurant on Fridays, and he'd spend his whole check. He'd probably make like $15 for that hour, and we ordered wings and cokes. He went for free, but he took us to go watch him, you know.
Nice.
Nowadays, it's like every restaurant on a Friday, on Sunday has a mariachi. So these kids that are coming out of the high school can literally go and learn firsthand.
Yeah, and get that
Something that wasn't available to us, you know. It was within the party scene, so
Yeah.
you either go or you don't.
And you talk about your dad, but I read an El Paso Matters article. Shout out El Paso Matters, we love them. But I read an article where you talk about how your mom was really a stickler and really stressed the importance of respecting the tradition, of making sure that you did this well, that you presented yourself well.
Yeah, my mother was the I guess the founder, you know. My dad was the one with the talent, but at the end of the day, there's a great woman behind every man, right?
Yeah.
So she was in charge of the recruitment, and with time, she was in charge of like scenery, you could say, you know, production. So as my dad was teaching, we would come out. She was in charge of charging the parents for the classes.
Nice.
And then we started getting trajes. My mom was that person that put your bow on right. You know, you're not supposed to be dressed like
Keeping
that.
you guys in line. Yes. That's
So
nice.
as a kid, you learn to hate that person. You know, she's always pissed off. You know,
She's always on me.
it wasn't that. It was that my mom's very traditional in regards to the traje de charro. So you can't be dressed without the bow or with your shirt untucked. You know, you had to be clean, makeup, everything had to be right. So as a 10-year-old, you don't respect that. But now that you grow up, you're like, damn, all she wanted was for us to learn the right way.
Right. Yeah.
And now, till this day, my mom's the manager of Mariachi Los Solitos.
Aww.
She's the secretary, and she's the one that, she's out there, you know, she's the one that finding everything for the group. You know, she's the one that runs the funding for all the microphones, for everything that the organization has, you know. She finds the talent.
cool.
She's a recruiter. She
never
brings in new
stops.
people. No, she never stops, you know.
Amazing, man.
And when I was telling you on Mother's Day, my mom literally is in her SUV signing contracts. Hey, I'm over here. That this guy just says he'll come play 12 songs over here in Horizon. And then she shows up to the next gig with a pack of Arby's. Hey, guys, this is your lunch. You're eating.
Yeah, you gotta go somewhere else.
At the same time, she's taking care of my
You have
niece.
5 minutes to eat,
Yes. So we're running around. Here's a new cooler. You know, hey,
Yeah.
Tylenol, who's today? And running to the next. We do about on a Mother's Day weekend. You're talking about 50 to 75 performances.
Wow.
We perform Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday.
That's insane.
Man, so Monday you're like,
No, when I was in college, Monday was finals for music performance.
Oh, no.
For all of us that were in the mariachi, I played trumpet. I would show up soul.
the fingers are ready. Like,
Yeah, I was like, no, dude, why on a Monday? I would schedule it on a Monday right after Mother's Day.
oh man, I'm sorry for that.
Now we call in sick to work.
I had a really bad weekend full of work.
But you have to really love that to do that, right? To do something that takes you to that many performances a day or a
For
weekend.
a long time, that was my job, you know?
Yeah.
For a long time, I lived like that, you know? That's how I would pay for my car and my house.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's a lifestyle in regards to you can't live without it anymore.
Yeah.
You know, like now you're going for free.
I know, right?
Somebody calls you, hey, can you? Yeah, I'm on my way,
Oh,
dude.
way.
I got you covered.
Now with my new vehicle, it cost me $30 to get to the west side. You know, it's like,
I might reconsider.
yeah, it's like,
You know
doesn't
what?
make sense sometimes.
Can I meet you midpoint, like in Tito Vista and play there? Yeah. No,
I
that's
feel
crazy.
like it's also a good balance, right? Because I feel like initially that was your job, right? But now you're balancing with all these other life things that are happening, right? But maybe that's a good thing. I can see it as a way to balance that with like joy and celebration and stress relief that kind of balances out like the job and the work and the bills and the stress and the right. I feel like that's a good outlet.
Yeah, for a long time, it's like you were waiting, you know, you're arguing with your girlfriend and you're like, okay, I need to leave the house. We're on our way to work, you know? So every Friday we used to play out on the restaurant.
Oh yeah.
You know, so you already know. Like now that I haven't been playing, sometimes you wake up on a Sunday morning. It's like I'm late to Andan. It's like no, I don't even play there anymore. You know, you're traumatized.
It's a Sunday at 7. Go back to sleep.
Yeah, but it's something that you learn to do. You already know it was a secure little salary,
Yeah.
and it's just there piling up. And now that I'm not doing it as much as I was. Now you see it, you know, it's like, oh man, that's my stress reliever.
Yeah.
And now that I don't do it as much,
And
now it's the kids, you know. My nephews are in my program right now, so I get to see that, you know.
another generation.
Yeah, they're the 5th generation.
Nice.
Amazing.
It's crazy, you know. And like, I know we're talking about mariachi, but like talking about that immigrant aspect of it, it's just crazy how your mom and dad came in here with a mentality of being successful. Like they came here with the mentality of like, you know what? I'm not gonna struggle. I'm gonna do my best to give you guys a good life. And at the same time, they pass it on to you guys because they knew that it was a good way of living and it was gonna be more than enough to provide.
And believe it or not, for a very long time, it wasn't a good way of living, you know?
Yeah.
We lived. I remember so many times where my dad didn't have money for gas or we were coming down Hunter and the car ran out of gas, you know? Or coming in the Puente crossing over because we would eat over there. And the car's overheating on the way over here. No AC with the door open, you know? It wasn't until 2001 where my dad opened the academy that we started seeing
A little bit more.
He's working as a professional mariachi and a teacher. So there was a double income now, you know?
Yeah.
But it came with
Struggles.
the struggles of now that we don't see my mom because we're out working with my dad, you know?
Oh yeah.
So we're all working, but luckily it's a family business and we're all in it, you know?
Everyone had to make their sacrifices.
Yeah.
It's a big sacrifice, you know, and my brother's living it now. He made his own professional mariachi and his kids play with him. So now the sacrifice we lost him in the professional mariachi, but he's with his kids and now he's doing his own thing, you know?
That's amazing. That's amazing.
That's I think when we talk about just the connection, we talk about immigration probably and immigrants in a really positive way, obviously, because we love that. But I think that a big component of that is when we acknowledge like what that brings, what immigrants bring into our communities, right?
Definitely.
Like, this joy, this music, this culture, this color. You know, we're talking about folklorico, and you know, when your mom was it. So when you combine all of these things, it's like this vibrancy, this life that is introduced. That's
happiness.
really beautiful to see, right?
It's a happy time when you see a mariachi and a folklorico playing, and it's something that not every country gets to enjoy.
Right.
Definitely.
And for us being next to one of the main countries who are mariachi raisers, like it's just crazy to have it.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, all these, and I've seen it as I grew up in the 90s with seeing my dad's, the elements that participated in his group. Yeah. I met about 50 to 75 elderly, you know, that right now they're about 80, 85. They were honest men, you know. They made their money. They filed their taxes, and they don't have a retirement, but they worked. You know, the only day off was Mondays. You know, and they. I remember when my dad played with Mariachi Los Galleros. He slept all the way till 2 p.m. You know, we didn't see him. He just woke up and picked it up at the elementary school, and then later
on to the next.
See you guys
again.
Show,
All day. They work at Aceitunas, Very Own Night Club, Joe, John, and Mark's.
Oh, yeah.
Mariachi Bar, you know, the Tap. So all those little places, and it was
Staples.
They were right. They were playing at Teddy's.
Oh.
So it was like 4-hour performances per day. So we wouldn't see my dad, you know.
Oh yeah.
We wouldn't see him, and it's a sacrifice, and they were just trying to do things right, you know.
Absolutely.
With what they had, you know, my dad didn't have an education. None of my uncles did, you know?
Yeah.
And they came to the United States, picked up on the mariachi stuff, and one of my uncles is a teacher at Socorro.
Oh, good.
The other one's a trucker. So it's they all picked up on a different profession.
That's amazing. That's amazing.
I think that's always really something to be proud of. And I really love this about like our people in general is that let's take what we know and how are we going to monetize it? How are we going to make a living off of this? How are we going to support our families off of this? Like,
I have a talent.
You know,
how can
like,
I put it in use?
Yeah, exactly. Like, so resourceful, aren't we?
Absolutely. So I have a question. Yeah. You told us that you don't like Mariachi Loco as much. Like, definitely. But which one is your favorite song? Yeah. Like the one, like, if a lady goes to you and asks you for that song, you're like, lady, I can play like 20 times if you like me too.
That's your favorite
song. The song that is my song, my go-to, nobody knows it. But it's called Grande, Grande, Grande.
Grande, Grande, Grande?
Yeah.
Who was like the main performer of that song? Like, who was the...
My dad
voice?
recorded it.
Oh my gosh.
And that's a song by Vicky Carr, though.
Oh, Vicky. Local Vicky Carr.
Yeah, and that song in the mariachi world became really big. It's one of the, like, probably the top 20 songs recorded in mariachi in California by a man named Pedro Rey. And that song just exploded like maybe a year ago because his brother took it out in a new rendition on his album, and everybody like Googling where did this song come from.
Yeah.
So it's a very popular song right now in the mariachi world. But my dad recorded it first with Mariachi.
That's so amazing.
I need to find a new replacement song. Then, what's your favorite mariachi song?
Oh man, I think Cielito Lindo, just because behind the meaning and like. I hear Cielito Lindo every time there's a happy moment in Mexico or like something that is going that is nice. I think that's one of the ones.
I have I don't like I have to come up with a new one now. But I used to sing Cielito Lindo when I was like maybe like second or third grade. They taught us at school, right? And I'm at home, and then I don't know. I'm doing stuff at like I'm a little kid, and I'm like and I can't sing. So I'm like that's it. That's like. My dad was like asking me, Mom, ¿y cómo conoces esa canción? Like, my dad was so confused. Like, how did she learn that? How'd she learn that song?
Oh my gosh. Yeah, that's crazy.
So now I always do it. My sister and my brother make fun of me because we'll just be doing random tasks. And I'll just like, that's like my vocal stem or something. I don't know. I'll just like sing it out loud. And they're like, there she goes again.
Flashbacks from like 10 years ago.
But in defense of Mariachi Loco, it's like a fun. It gets people engaged. It gets them involved.
Like,
you know, like, yeah, it's a good icebreaker. I feel like. So maybe that's what I like, the energy.
Probably.
That song has a crazy story though.
Okay, we're ready.
Yeah, the composer of that song is a clarinet player.
Okay.
And he was the leader of a mariachi band in Mexico.
Oh.
So everybody like judges on why'd you create this, right? Well, his son ended up being like one of the most prominent guitar players in Mariachi Vargas.
Oh.
So we forgive him. You know, he gave us a bigger talent, you know.
We'll give him a pass. A pass for this.
But it's a definite like standard in every gig. I hate it.
It's usually like one of the closing songs, huh? Like towards the end, like so people can get like because like I cover weddings and like when I do photos. And Mariachi Loco usually here at the end because of the transition between mariachi who's playing live to like live music from DJ.
Yeah.
And like DJs go like bah, bah, bah. And then like I guess like the rhythm kind of matches that. So I hear like towards the end of the mariachi performance. That's how
I'm a musician that really got into his instrument from a very young age, you know. My father and my mother had me in private lessons.
Oh, wow.
Nice.
So it was like, you're going to learn how to do it the right way. Not the mariachi way. We're going to put you in the classical side, you know? So I learned how to do things at another level, you know? It was a focus. So my dad would bring me CDs and CDs of mariachi. Learn this and I'll learn this. And I was 11 years old and I can play like all the Mariachi Vargas CDs. And I was addicted to it, you know?
Yeah.
I loved it so much. And now that I get older, it's like, nah, dude, I didn't do all of that. Give up my childhood. just play Mariachi Loco. You know what I mean? And there's groups that want to do an hour full of it. It's like,
no, one time is fine.
And you said that you went good too. Yeah, right.
But there are so many songs because every time I go, I feel like when they do request, sometimes they'll have a playlist, right? Like a set playlist. And other times they'll just...
Believe it or not, people just Google Mexican music, and then it's like Maluma. It's like, dude, come on.
Play some respect.
I was in Mexico City a few years ago, maybe like 2 or 3 years ago, and we did the whole little get on the
Zocalo tour and
Yeah,
everything.
we did the whole thing. And then so they have mariachis who jump on I'm trying to think of what the boat's called. The
Trajineras?
yes. Yeah. So we were on there and, mariachis jump out and they play songs and then people, and there's a lot of like tourists and Americans. And then somebody's like, sing Bad Bunny. That mariachi was so upset. He was so mad.
They look for Bad Bunny under the...
Yeah, they ask us for La Camisa Negra, and it's like, are you serious, dude?
I'm going to ring off to...
Lesson learned for your next mariachi performance. Do not request any.
One time a Mariachi Loco. One time a Mariachi Loco. No camisa negra, no Bad Bunny. Yeah, no. I went to Guadalajara, 2 years ago. And every like corner you could have a mariachi play.
Yeah,
and like you said, like I think like going back to one of the main points, or the first point that you mentioned, is that here you need to call, sign a contract for the mariachi, pay a deposit, and there it's just like
they're on call.
Everywhere,
They're
like,
just
hey,
they have that. And mariachis in Mexico, they have a little office.
Oh.
And usually, like, they're here around the plaza. So, like, they're a street away. So everybody's dressed and they're just waiting. Three of them go outside and they're fully dressed and like, hey, quiere mariachi, and they're on the corner, and they call it te vas al azar, machamba.
Like randomly,
It's like the flower boy right now.
you call it
around. It's the same thing in Mexico. So a lot of people disrespect it. It's a lot of like neglect. Hey, no, hágase para allá. And here in the United States, it's like, son mariachis. No, somos bomberos. Dude, like,
some of the meros vendo bombones.
obvious, dude.
Yeah. Like, no, sir. Oh, that's amazing. It's crazy how like mariachi has become like a staple in our community, and how mariachi it's still alive. Mentioning like kids are like, play something newer. But you go to events and mariachis are still being requested.
Oh,
It's nice to see. And I knock on wood, and I keep vouching for you guys like that. We keep that
tradition alive.
For many years,
generations.
Absolutely, because once again, it gives a lifestyle to many people. Pays a salary, but also keeps the culture, the music, the roots alive. And I think that's something that we can't forget. Never.
Yeah, and we talk about a lot just joy as resistance, right? So as we go through these like difficult situations in our communities, I think that like embracing that joy and embracing that culture and embracing the music is like that is a form of resistance.
Absolutely.
It is amazing to see that we hope continues.
Yeah,
right?
you mentioned Carol G. Like she brought it, and it's like it was like a message through music saying that we're here, we're still alive, and we're not
going anywhere.
Exactly. So before we close our podcast, it's been fun. Any questions, anything you want to mention before we close it out? Anything that we missed? Any reminders for the people out there about mariachi, about kids, about school, about you?
Well, mariachi is now available in almost every high school here in El Paso.
That's very cool.
So this year at the UAL competition, there was about 42 schools.
Wow.
So it's available everywhere. I would encourage them to let their kids try it out.
Yeah,
absolutely.
It's something very beautiful, very personal. So these kids learn to come out of their shell.
Absolutely.
I tell a lot of the parents at the meetings when I have the parent teacher conference, and I tell them, I'm not creating mariachis. I'm creating a professional.
Yeah.
I'm planting a seed of commitment, of professionalism, and I'm teaching them to grow from that, because it's something that created me,
Yeah,
absolutely.
My dad being after it, and my mom, show up to the gigs on time, Don't pull up 5 minutes before, get there before so you can tune. Those are little things that I tell the kids now,
Yeah.
And it's amazing. At the end of the day, I'm helping the parents as well,
For sure, because that's going to bleed into every element of their life,
Absolutely.
And from all the kids that my dad brought up in the academy, now he has engineers with 2 masters in engineering,
Wow.
He has doctors, he has dentists, now teachers. He has everything. Business. I'm an entrepreneur. I own my own business, a music store. Then we focus on mariachi. So it's something that, to me, like my culture feeds me, Something that I found, and I love to give back to the community. And we create kids that can play mariachi, And it's beautiful to. Right now that I go to the competition, and there's at least one kid in every group,
Yeah.
So no competition from my heart to any of the schools. It's like, I'm from Del Valle, but at the end of the day, it's Mariachi is the importance,
Yeah.
not the campus, you know?
That's it.
It's a great
Focus.
contribution that you're making there.
Definitely.
Absolutely. No, thank you. Anything that you want to add, Sandra, before we close it out?
I just going back to we talked about the Karol G performance and the all-female mariachi. We also have an all-female mariachi for our Madres y Mariachis event. So it's really beautiful to see them and to see that tradition. So our event is happening Saturday, May 9th. It's at the Elmont this year, 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. So it's a brunch, it's a mariachi. I think they just mentioned that we have a folklorico group that volunteered to perform as part of it. So it's going to be an amazing thing to bring your mom. It's maybe, you're going to be busy. Never mind. Bring your mom.
Your mom's going to be
You and
busier.
your mom's going to be busier. Never
You'll be
mind.
busier than us, probably.
So we have all the information on our website for you to buy the tickets. Check it out. We have an early bird right now through April 19th to get the tickets before the prices go. But it's going to be, I hope we sold everyone on mariachi today because
if this is not enough for mariachi, I don't know what's going to take to join a mariachi.
I think El Paso is a very, very prominent city for mariachi.
yeah,
That's amazing.
I agree.
It's
Yeah,
so
I think so
popular.
too.
Proud to say that. Huh?
Yeah,
Proud to say
definitely.
that.
Agree.
Yes.
Definitely.
All right, guys. Well, thank you so much for joining us on this episode of Amor al Migrante. Once again, remember, May 9th from 10 to 1 p.m., Madres y Mariachis. Hope to see you guys there. And we'll see you guys on the next episode. Thank you. Bye-bye.
This is the Amor al Migrante podcast, Love for the Migrant, a project of Estrella del Paso, the largest provider of free immigration legal services in West Texas and southern New Mexico. This podcast is coming to you from El Paso, Texas, hosted by Sandra Ramirez and Cristian Trujillo. Please subscribe to the Amor al Migrante podcast to be alerted about new episodes and visit www.estrelladelpaso.org to support our work on the southern border.